I'm a sucker for nostalgia, so I have yet to tire of the enhanced ports, remasters, and remakes that are all the rage these days. I love revisiting games from simpler times, sporting fresh graphics and handy new features, but I also enjoy new takes on classics that I would never have expected. Dragon Quest VII already got the latter treatment on the 3DS a decade ago, and now Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is ringing in the 40th anniversary of the series with a fine third iteration, though it's not one without sacrifices. This time around, there's a clear focus on improving the pacing of one of Dragon Quest's most notorious entries, and Square Enix has succeeded in that regard. But some other adjustments Reimagined makes in an effort to appeal to newer players have come at the expense of longtime fans. Dragon Quest VII tells the tale of a humble fisherman's son and his childhood friends as they seek out fragments of 17 magical tablets in an effort to restore the world. It's one that's always stood out in the series, approaching its storytelling in a different and engaging way thanks to time-traveling elements and how it reveals its overarching story. Instead of a single sprawling plot that grows increasingly complex, Dragon Quest VII weaves a tapestry from many seemingly independent strands into a final work of art that's hidden at the start. That really helps drive home its themes of isolation, with the oddly disconnected nature of each island's tale lessened only as you literally rebuild the world and watch those connections appear, much like the islands themselves. Add in that you get to see how your actions in the past echo through into the present, it still remains one of my favorite stories of the Dragon Quest series.
What are those things?
Bringing the world of Dragon Quest VII into the modern era, Reimagined's new puppet and diorama-inspired aesthetic does a really good job of depicting Akira Toriyama's original cast of characters. The proportions of these particular heroes have always been a bit more chibi compared to others in the franchise, which lends itself well to this almost toy-like look.
All in a day's work.
On the flip side, muted tones and visible fabric materials have replaced the vivid colors and dramatic anime-inspired outlines that I usually adore about Dragon Quest. The fact that Reimagined removed the 3DS version's outfit changes for the different vocations saddens me as well. I did grow more accustomed to the puppety look, and both my wife and 2-year-old son loved to point out how cute everything was as I played, but I'd be fine if this art style ended up being a one-and-done affair. Reimagined retains much of the same classic RPG goodness that the Dragon Quest series has held onto these long decades, but it also introduces more goodies than just a facelift to mix up the adventure. New Monster Heart accessories impart unique aspects to the character they're equipped to, such as doubling a character's strength at the expense of reducing their MP to 0, or increasing the damage you dish out with each subsequent attack. You can now take out weaker enemies in the field without ever entering combat as well, cutting them down from the world map itself. But what I found most fun were the powerful Let Loose attacks, which are super moves that act as Reimagined's take on the Square staple limit break concept, and the ability to have characters equip 2 vocations at a time, referred to as moonlighting. Both of these can result in some deliciously broken combos that feel great to pull off. I appreciate the flexibility moonlighting offers in how you want your team to run, providing access to the specific toolkits and stat buffs of both vocations with no downsides or restrictions. They earn the same amount of experience too, which just speeds up that whole process of unlocking the especially good advanced vocations that require you to have mastered multiple other ones already. Dragon Quest VII has always been notorious for how long it took to get to basic stuff like combat, and Reimagined's goal of addressing those pacing issues has been a success overall, though some changes are more welcome than others. You'll get to combat within the first 30 minutes or so this time, and I unlocked the vocation system around 11 hours later.
Take that!
To put the difference here into perspective, at one point I booted up my save from my 3DS version of Dragon Quest VII that was roughly at the same spot I found myself in Reimagined. Not only was I 5 levels higher in Reimagined with twice as many vocations mastered, I had also done all that in half the time. I was at just over 46 hours play when I rolled credits, which is much shorter than both previous versions. Although going for 100% completion will likely take a couple dozen more.
Your courage is proven.
It's no secret that this faster pace is thanks in part to whole sections being removed, with locations such as El Ciclo, Grondel, and Providence being left on the cutting room floor. Certain areas and dungeons have been reduced in size too, with the boat the main character's father departs on right out of the gate now being a single level instead of 2. The Sunken Citadel in the Wetlock region is another such example, with the dungeon basically being removed altogether and replaced with a short, straight-shot corridor. Losses like that are certainly disappointing, but outside of the occasional dungeon feeling a bit small, I actually really enjoyed how the story flows now, and I never felt an obvious gap or awkward break caused by missing content. One change that has had more of a noticeable negative impact is how nearly every aspect of the original that could potentially have caused even the smallest bit of discomfort or aggravation has been smoothed over. That might sound fine on the surface, but it's resulted in the removal of things that have traditionally helped define this series and taken away much of that crucial sense of natural discovery. When I boot up a Dragon Quest game, I expect that the journey will take me into some headwinds and that there will be points where I struggle with a challenge to overcome. In Reimagined, I found none of that. For example, in any other Dragon Quest, you need to thoughtfully manage your HP, MP, and consumables. You have to weigh the benefits of each encounter. Is it worth it to spend that MP to end the encounter fast, keeping your health higher? But you'll lose out on that precious MP before the impending boss fight. In contrast, Reimagined bombards you with free healing statues, respawning items that refill both your health and magic that are all over the place, and characters heal whenever they level up. Party members who die during a fight even respawn with a single hit point afterwards, doing away with that classic Dragon Quest imagery of seeing your lone character leading around a parade of colorful coffins in a dreary dungeon. And if you do find yourself in a situation where everyone dies, the penalty is so minimal, forcing you only to lose 1,000 gold as opposed to half your total. The time that I actually had to pay this fee was in the very last dungeon, playing on hard difficulty, and at that point I was more curious just to see what would happen. Individual carrying bags have been done away with in favor of a single shared inventory as well, making it so you don't have to worry about strategically divvying up your items, and cursed items are gone altogether. You don't even have to try spells out on enemies anymore to know how they might affect them. There are some difficulty options you can toggle and adjust, such as lowering or raising the amount of experience, vocation points, or gold you earn after a fight, but none of that other stuff is included in those settings. In fact, you can choose to make things even easier for yourself by fully restoring your party after every encounter. This hand-holding approach, where you almost can't fail, even extends to the main questline. So much of that sense of exploration and discovery have been removed, with enough information being fed to you that quests are sometimes a simple matter of glancing over your screen to find where the big icon is. Is there a tablet fragment in your location? You'll see a marker on your map letting you know where you can find it, which turns the hunt for them into an almost mundane task to check off a list rather than the epic world-saving mission it's made out to be. Having recently played through last year's spectacular HD 2D remakes of Dragon Quest I and II, all of this sanded down gameplay gave me whiplash. That package added some solid accessibility options to help newer players, but still retained, and in many cases expanded, the challenge of the originals. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined feels like it goes in the complete opposite direction, with the only real challenge coming from the last hour or so of the story and the post-game grind. That all said, the more I played this new version, the more I eventually came to accept it for what it was, even if it wasn't exactly what I was expecting or looking for. Between its faster pacing, toy-like aesthetic, and insistence on reducing pain points, this really is a literal reimagining of Dragon Quest VII as a sort of my first Dragon Quest entry point for new players. Once that realization clicked, I just let myself enjoy the ride as I soaked in a story and characters I still adored. I just also had to come to grips with the fact that it wasn't going to deliver the challenge and discovery that I usually play these games for.
I'm ending this!
Every version of Dragon Quest VII is a flawed gem, with its own blemishes and imperfections, but gems they all remain. The way it reveals its world to you stands out from any other game in this long-running series, and seeing the results of your actions in the past affect the present day is just as memorable now as it was when I first put the disc in my PlayStation. That said, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined won't be the version of this adventure I reach for when I want to revisit the islands around Estard and Pilchard Bay. The original's pacing issues have successfully been addressed here, but it's unfortunate so much of the challenge and discovery I expect from a Dragon Quest game has been removed as a result. I really do appreciate and applaud Square Enix for creating a beginner-friendly Dragon Quest, but I also wish more difficulty options had been included to let returning fans like me opt out of that easier tuning. So while Reimagined may not shine in the same way other remakes have, this simplified quest is still one worth completing. If for nothing else than bearing witness to Keifer's awesome chin. For more recent RPGs, check out our reviews of Octopath Traveler 0 or The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon. And for everything else, stick with IGN.